Hey everyone, and welcome. Look, if you're a parent, we all want the same thing, right? To raise healthy, happy kids. But figuring out how to get there, well, that can feel incredibly complicated. So in this explainer, we're going to cut right through all that noise and give you some simple, really powerful tips for both girls and boys, all based on guidance from the Parlora Company.
So, what's the secret sauce? In a world that's just full of conflicting advice, it is so easy to feel completely overwhelmed. But here's the good news. The foundation for a healthy, happy childhood is actually a lot simpler than you might think. So let's break it down, starting with the very first step.
All right, first things first, we've got to focus on building a really solid foundation. Because, just like a house, everything else that comes later depends entirely on the strength of these universal pillars of wellness. These are the core principles that apply to every single kid out there.
Yeah, really. Just think of it like building a house. You have to have that solid base before you can even think about what color to paint the walls. These core principles, they're the essential building blocks for a happy, thriving childhood, and they really are the same for everyone.
So where do we start? What are those first big blocks we need to lay down? Well, it all comes down to fueling the body. And this breaks down into three absolutely critical components: nutrition, movement, and rest.
All right, first up, nutrition. And listen, this is about way more than just getting them to eat their broccoli. You've got to think of food as the high-octane fuel for their growing bodies, their developing brains, and of course, for all that endless energy they have for play.
You know what I love about these tips? They are so simple and so achievable. This is not about a complete radical diet overhaul, it's about small wins. Just add one more veggie. Swap a sugary juice box for water. That alone can do wonders for their mood and energy levels. Eat together. That builds connection. And let them help in the kitchen. It gives them this sense of ownership, and you'd be surprised how much braver they get about trying new things.
Next up is movement. And I want you to really notice the word here. It's joy, not exercise. The whole goal is to make physical activity a fun, natural part of their day, not some chore that they have to get through.
The real secret here is just finding what they genuinely love. Do they want to dance around the living room? Great. Kick a ball outside? Perfect. Even just exploring the backyard totally counts. Making it a family activity is a huge bonus. And that simple little rule of balancing screen time with green time, well, that's an absolute game changer for getting them the movement they need.
And we absolutely cannot talk about a healthy body without talking about sleep. This isn't just downtime, okay? Sleep is when the magic happens. It's when their bodies and brains are actively growing, repairing, and basically filing away everything they learned that day.
So how do we do that? Well, these tips show us exactly how to set them up for sleep success. Consistency is everything. A regular bedtime literally trains their internal clock. A calming routine signals to their body that it's time to wind down. And that no-screen rule, that one's non-negotiable. The blue light from those devices can seriously mess with the hormones that tell their brain it's time to sleep, making it so much harder for them to rest and recharge for the next day.
Okay, so we fueled the body, which is huge. But now, let's talk about something that's just as vital: nurturing the mind. In the world we live in today, building emotional strength is honestly one of the greatest gifts we can ever give our kids.
And the key concept here is emotional resilience. It's not about trying to prevent bad things from ever happening, because they will. It's about giving them the tools to cope and bounce back when life inevitably gets tough. And that is a skill that will serve them for their entire lives.
So how in the world do we build that? Well, it all starts by creating a home where it is safe to talk about anything. It means really listening and validating their feelings. Saying something like, "Wow, that sounds really frustrating," instead of just, "Oh, it's not a big deal." It means we have to model healthy emotional expression ourselves. And it means teaching them simple, practical tools, like just taking a few deep breaths that they can use anytime, anywhere.
All right, so we've got a healthy body and a nurtured mind. Now we have to prepare them for the journey ahead, because as they grow up, they're going to face a world that's always changing, full of new social dynamics, and of course, physical developments.
A huge part of growing up is just learning how to navigate the social world. This means talking openly about what makes a good friend, why empathy is so important, and the reality of peer pressure. And you know what? A great tip is to actually role-play some of these scenarios. It might feel a little silly at first, but it gives them a kind of script for when they face a tough situation in real life.
And of course, their bodies are going to change. That's a given. For every single child, the goal here is to foster a positive body image. And we can do this by shifting the focus from appearance to ability.
Celebrating how strong they are or how fast they can run. It means having conversations about puberty early and often, and always answering their questions honestly. The key is to create an environment where these changes are seen as normal and natural, not something to be embarrassed or ashamed of.
Okay, I know that was a ton of information, but look, knowledge is only powerful when we actually use it, right? So let's wrap all this up with a simple, concrete action plan that you can use with your family.
This is so simple, but it is so effective. First, just talk about it. Get everybody on the same page. Second, do not try to do everything at once. Just pick one small goal, like, hey, we're going to go for a walk after dinner on Tuesday. And third, celebrate it. Acknowledge the effort. This is not about being perfect. It's about making small steps forward together as a team.
And that brings us to our final thought. A question just for you. Before you head out, just take a second to decide what's one small, healthy change your family can try this week. Thanks so much for joining us.